Imagine you have a huge interview coming up. It's for a job that would be a massive step up in your career, and it's at a company you really resonate with. You feel like you've prepped enough for the interview and you know exactly what you're going to say. The day of, you start driving over and horrible thoughts of failure overcome you. You feel that you'll fail the interview, and if you fail the interview, you won't make the money that you envisioned making. And if you don't make that money and you fail the interview, you may come off as a failure to your loved ones. This type of thinking is called catastrophizing. Catastrophizing is an irrational thought process where someone assumes the worst possible outcomes for a given situation. Be very careful of negative habitual ways of thinking. How do you handle failure? When things go wrong, do you blame yourself and everything around you? Do you go down a deep, dark rabbit hole of doomsday thinking? This can severely damage your mental health. I had a point in my life where I was really struggling with catastrophizing, specifically around deepening friendships. So I'm a huge skateboarder, and I'm not super into the party scene. So whenever I was presented with situations where it was very common in school or the skateboarding community to be around those types of activities, I thought people around me wouldn't really be interested in actually being my friend. They only wanted to hang with me because I was a mutual friend, or they thought I was into that specific lifestyle. I literally felt like a burden to people at times because I thought I had different hobbies than everyone around me. When I would get invited to things, I would get super nervous and think I wouldn't have fun or fit in properly. The more I matured and became confident in who I was as a person, the easier it was to embrace differences in others and lean into commonalities while also being able to set healthy boundaries with others to have a fun time. Catastrophizing will put you in a certain frame of mind that welcomes others to perceive you poorly. Take the job interview example that I gave at the very beginning of this video. If you go in thinking that the interview will go terribly wrong and that the person will attack you, you're so much more likely to come in defensive and come off as rude. When we imagine situations that are hopeless and devastating, our brains actually respond by producing less serotonin and dopamine. Why be happy when everything will just crumble and fail? This can invite depression into our lives. Catastrophizing also brings on anxious behaviors and thought patterns. We literally go into fight or flight mode when we always expect the worst to happen. Catastrophizing has two dysfunctional functions. The first is to protect us from uncertainty and disappointment. The second is to push ourselves through fear. While some of these strategies may help in the very short term, they're actually extremely damaging in the long term, and they can bring on a plethora of negative mental health side effects. Let me know in the comments if you've ever catastrophized before. For those of you that are new here, my name's Jeff, and my goal is to make psychology make sense. If you've been enjoying the content so far, any support for the channel would be greatly appreciated. I also have a link to my Patreon below where you can find exclusive content around the channel. Thanks for hanging out. So, how do you stop catastrophizing? Number one is to notice when you do it. Specifically, why are you doing it? What are your thoughts that come up when you catastrophize? How do they make you feel? See if you can find any loved ones who can help keep you accountable here. You really have to process and accept the fact that so many things in life are going to be uncertain. People are amazingly good at adapting and going through challenges. You are no exception to this. Number two is to challenge negative thought patterns as they arise. Notice that you have these thoughts, but feel free to bravely question them and ask, why does this have to be the result? Ask yourself, how do I know this to be objectively true? Journaling and meditation can work absolute wonders here. Rule 3 is to replace negative thoughts with ones that are much more realistic, honest, and supportive for your goals. Think of one or more positive alternatives for each of the negative ones that you've created in your head. Number 4 is to give yourself a little self-care throughout the week. Do things you love. Spend time with people you care about. Pour into some hobbies. Get good sleep and eat nutrient-dense foods. Drink plenty of water and learn to have respect for yourself and the person you'll eventually become. Catastrophizing is something that plagues many of us. Through thoughtful consideration of where you are with it, and by taking the necessary steps to reduce or remove it from your life, you can be well on your way to being significantly happier and healthier. If you're interested in other topics in psychology, be sure to check out my last 2 videos. So for all things psychology to help you think, feel, and perform better, stay tuned right here on Psychology of Living.